Man, Crit, Sincleanser, I can't thank you guys enough. That was so much fun. I haven't done that in a while, and it's interesting because when you go back, gosh, these people haven't changed one bit. When was the first time you ever saw something like that, Sincleanser? See, I know I'm looking for people with eyes to see. By the way, shout out to Elijah, the One Free Man, and Chocolate saying, hope to see you soon. Gemsy, God bless you, Sir Colin Dresser. Wayne Breck, God bless you too. Remember that none of this is possible without the Bible Literalist channel. That's actually why we're here right now. And there are some other names that I'm going to forget. Sorry, I'm not writing anything down these days. I just have to go do this at this point in my life. So thanks for being here. But yeah, Crit, God bless you, sir. You know, the scoffers of this world don't have a choice. You see, nothing's changed. There's nothing new under the sun, right? So every time we approach onto them, it's going to be the same excuse. There isn't going to be some sort of like mystery to it, right? People who don't want to know the truth can't know the truth, right? It's just that simple. So when you have people asking questions to hide from the truth, they're never going to find the truth. You have to stop letting them lie through their teeth, which is what you do. And that's why you have been persecuted as well, because the wiles of the devil, of course, are in these people who think it's okay to be passionate to hatred and lies and scornfulness and deceit and just hatred of these literal God haters. You know, they call themselves atheists, but they're really just sycophant God haters. If you hear the things they say, it's like they don't only belong in a straitjacket, they actually belong in prison, being taken care of and understanding what respect is, and to know that they can't do that in reality. And that's why the point is, of course, they would never do that to your face, Crit and Sincleanser. And there was probably another gentleman in there in the Science First, the Pseudoscience Hangout. I forget. That seemed all right. But you've done well, Crit. You noticed a lot of things, and this isn't your first rodeo, so good on you, man. Can't say enough about that. And, of course, you know there's many issues all over, especially the internet. The entire internet is basically Sodom and Gomorrah almost everywhere you go. There's certainly no exception to these Discord channels, right? Duh. And Sincleanser, yeah, I try to help people learn, and I'm glad you can notice some things. That's probably the first time it's ever happened in that room. So there's a first for everyone and everything. But, you know, the people have asked me to back myself up, and they've asked for receipts for a long time, Mr. Sincleanser. So I have tried to take a different path in life and maybe use some of the abilities that God has given me to give those receipts. And there are many topics within the realms of the minds of people trying to hide from God. And that was one that actually touched me personally. When I was very young, I remember watching Christopher Reeve, of all people, doing some sort of special show about dinosaurs or something like that. Like they're, 1986, and they had like the animatronics, and like, everybody remembers the shows from when they were kids, and they had the watch these things and get brainwashed into thinking these things lived millions of years ago, and that an asteroid from where? Outer space. Came and killed them all. Everything just died. This asteroid just killed everything. And it'll happen again sometime, by the way, kids. Christopher Reeve, I mean, this guy was played Superman, right? Everybody, if you're a boomer especially, I'm sure you remember. None of these punks have a clue what I'm talking about. I know Crit does. And Sincleanser, I'm sure you do too. So, long story short, that really actually bothered me. Almost over 30 years ago, when they told me that, they told me all these cool giant lizard things, these lizards, terrible lizards, they got wiped off the face of the earth, and that was that. And it wasn't until later where you realize that on the internet, people disagree with everything. Eventually, you get old enough to realize that the internet is just for everybody on the face of the earth arguing about everything, and that's what we're going to do, right? And obviously Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, I found out some special things, Mr. Sincleanser and Crit, and God decided to shew it unto me, and you saw a little bit of that today. There's a lot of people in the skeptical communities that claim things, such as the past was very different when it comes to the size of things, and they use the Bible to even show you that they were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that. And that's actually very true. There were giants on the earth in those days. God is good and every man's a liar. If it says there's giants and there's those days, period, in the story. It also talks about Leviathan, Behemoth, the cockatrice, the fiery flying serpent. The unicorn, again, is a rhinoceros, if you're confused. And many interesting creatures. Well, I'm still that little boy, guys, and I like God's animals, and I love his animals now that I own. You know, we raise bees and cats, pumas, leopards, and, of course, tortoises. And we've even had a beautiful little creature called a water dragon. And, in fact, a water dragon is actually a very small water dragon. It's called water dragon. Okay? Is anybody listening? It's called a water dragon. So it's the type of animal. What kind is it? It's a water dragon. I didn't have to name it. It's a water dragon. Do you know what a dragon is? You see, dragons have existed throughout the world for a very long time. They're in African, Asian, specifically Chinese, Japanese more than any, Russian, even Ukrainian, Lithuanian, all these places, Spanish, all these groups are history. So all those different Russian countries already have them. They either have different names. There's legends of dragons, even to Australia. That's the most commonly talked about creature in ancient lore. Do you guys know about this animal? It's called a dragon. It's in the Bible. There are different dragons apparently. They are giant, monstrous creatures that are unstoppable by man, and God challenges Job with such creatures, explaining that your spears cannot pierce his scales. Well, what's even more interesting is that some of these creatures are still alive today. Remember the dragon giants issue? That's what it is. If you believe in giants, okay, so now I'm talking to the minority again, I hope, right? We believe there was different creatures back then. Well, that's what these animals are. They're giant dragons or lizards. That's what the word dinosaur means, terrible lizard. Well, then dinosaurs are just lizards. I don't even need to add the word dragon. Dragon proves that there was already terminology in existence for these creatures, and the Hebrew would be tanin. Actually, the first time it's even mentioned is in Genesis. There was dragons of the sea. And we find those fossils as well, these giant aquatic reptiles. They call it like the mosasaur or something. The technical Latin verbiage is, of course, that's where we're going to start parting ways. But they even admit it. And, of course, we know by the flood that was 4,500 years ago. That's what history proves. Why is there a gap? It goes to 4,500 years and there's nothing credible. I'll put my life on it. You have 4,500 to 5,000 years of human history, guys. What? 100 years ago, the entire shape of this existence and the literal construct of people's minds was different. 200 years ago, New York City was a forest. The great outdoors, the most amazing forest and beach area probably in the world 200 years ago was New York. There wasn't a brick laid yet in some places, right? This world has changed greatly because man, of course, overtakes and destroys. Well, that's what they did to the dragons. And that's why every single old of your story up to 2,000 years ago, which we will talk about, even ancient artwork that shows these dragons, talks about dragons. That's the point. They already had a name for them. And that's why in the Asian cultures, they even are synonymous. That's why when you go to the baby section for a Halloween costume, they got the dinosaur and the dragon. They just happen to be right next to each other. What a coincidence. You can't hide the truth. They're the same animal. And no, they look very different probably than how these people that describe them, they look more like giant lizards. They probably sat down and then ran on two legs and probably couldn't just stand on two legs. There was maybe many differences. We don't know, obviously, because they were killed off. But if I have an anatomically creature today that is the same as a so-called monstrous dinosaur, if it's still alive today, I don't even have to go to history. There are still small ones today. I've held one. I don't know what to tell you guys. You guys have hid from knowledge. I don't think it might be too late for some of you. I don't know if this is ever going to make sense to you. I mean, can you imagine Sincleanser being on their side and seeing that today? I bet they were pretty upset. And then they, of course, lied. You know, I had one of these dragons. I'm going to see if she's in here in one of these pictures. Boy, I'll tell you, she was beautiful. The one thing about these creatures is that they are gorgeous. This is not a lizard. It does not have a detachable tail. There she is. Look at that. Man. There's the atheist mouse. Okay, so it's not a normal lizard, you see. And if that was 20 feet tall, 30 feet tall, like they described, it's over. The anatomical structure is identical. Yes. Actually has flesh on them. When they show you a dragon or a dinosaur, of course, they take all the flesh off, and it's extremely annoying. It's because, of course, they do everything wrong. They were just big lizards back there, guys. It's no big deal. And they even thought it was a boy at first. Told us this is a male water dragon. Well, that just shows you how many times men make mistakes, because there she is with eggs behind her. So that's how they're going to tell you if it's a male or a female. You will tell because there's eggs, right? So that's how you're going to see. That's how we know. That's how we can tell our children how the boys and girls. Yes, little Billy Sadie. It's a girl. It laid eggs. You see, that's what reality shows us. But God is good, guys. You know, God has shown me many different things, and I might put a little video in the description of this one. Thanks again, Crit Sincleanser. You guys have been great. I will see you again soon at the Science vs. Pseudoscience Hangout. I'm certainly not going anywhere. Even though I've been banned from 99.9% of the world, I will go where they allow me to. And then after that, you're on your own. Blood always finds its level.